We'll have time to talk about this a little bit, I guess, on Monday's show as well. But it will be Bucs at Detroit. The big development, and I broke this news before it actually happened because got a little birdie told me. Mike Evans returned to practice on Thursday, which is like a Wednesday practice, if you will, for the Monday Night Football game. He was limited, but from what I heard and what Todd Bowles said, the things he did very well. I would anticipate that he will play Monday night against Detroit. And, brother, that changes the calculus in so many ways. And I'm not a gambling guy, but I'm sure that line's about to change. Because here's the thing. Mike Evans, assuming that he can be Mike Evans, and he might not be, as sharp as he was coming out of training camp, obviously, because he's been off for 25 days. But what I know about it is that he creates opportunities for other players in that all of a sudden the running game is big because you're not facing an 8-man box. They have to double him. It's going to bring a safety down. It's going to take a corner out of the run game. That helps. Obviously Rashad White and Sean Tucker and those guys. He's going to, because he's drawing a double team, he's going to create one-on-ones on the other side of the line and maybe in the slot, whether that's Sterling Shepard or Cameron Johnson or Tez Johnson. One of those guys or more are going to get man coverage, so that creates space there. And when you're playing the Detroit Lions, who are sort of riddled by injuries in the secondary, you can anticipate that the Bucs have an advantage. They have an advantage if they can protect. The key is going to be, and this was what it kind of was the last time they played up there. You have a backup tackle, not your starter, in Charlie Heck. Can he block? Can he and a tight end, I should say, block Aiden Hutchinson? Because Hutchinson absolutely wrecked that game. He had 5 sacks. I gave him 4.5. It was really 5. And yet the Bucs managed to win because Detroit just wasn't good in the red zone. They were 1 for 6 inside the 20, which is unheard of. And that you cannot bank on happening again. Like that, that's very unlikely to occur. And plus, the Bucs' red zone defense this year has been terrible. They're in the bottom third at least in that statistic. So, but I really think that getting Mike back brings energy to your team, brings life to your team, and again, it's sort of like when they were able to put Tristan Wirfs at left tackle and Bredesen back at guard and Graham Barton at center. Everybody's where they should be, right? You can play off of a Mike Evans. I'm not sure if you had to start the game and go through the entire game with Sterling Shepard and the two Johnson and Johnson, that you're going to get the result you got the other day. Because remember, those guys just had to finish it, right? They both made plays, obviously, came in the game, and credit them for doing that. But now you have a team that can game plan for them. Without a dominant receiver, with at the very least, Emeka Egbuka started that game, and they had to account for him. So this would be a different deal. But he's going to provide a lot of energy. You could tell guys were pretty stoked about him being back, and I do think he'll play, barring some kind of setback this week, which would be bad. They also have their corners back, which is huge. We had a chance to talk to Zion McCallum, and what had happened was he tore the a ligament in his thumb, the UCL in his thumb, and they told him, you're going to have surgery on this. Well, we can do it either, miss the Seattle game or miss the 49er game. And he said, I never played in Seattle. I thought it would be fun to play up there. So he decided he played one game with it. And then they did the surgery, and then he missed the 49ers game. And now he's back with a little bit of a cover, a splint, not very big. But he says, he can catch the football and all of that, and that's what mattered. He actually had the same injury to his right hand, but it didn't require surgery, which is weird. But he's now kind of tore both ligaments in both thumbs now in the same season. So, but he's back. Also, Benjamin Morrison was at practice, which was great to see. So now, you got Zion McCallum, you got Jamel Dean, who's playing the best football of really almost any corner in the league right now. You got Benjamin Morrison coming in there, Christian Izien. Of course, you got your safeties, Ty Key and Antoine Winfield Jr. So on the back end, and including, for that matter, your two linebackers obviously are good with with Levante and Servassier Dennis, and then your 4 down linemen. I mean, you still got Yaya, you still got the guys inside, whether it's Elijah Roberts, uh, you know, just a number of dudes, and then of course Hassan Reddick on the outside. So really, this defense is fairly intact, especially when the secondary is leveled out, and you're going to need it because Amon St. Brown and those receivers are really really good in Detroit, and we know that they're going to be able to throw it around a little bit, but feel pretty good about where their team is health wise, and then offensively, just how Mike Evans will change the way that teams have to play them. And oh, by the way, he's a playmaker too. And I also trust Bobby Slater and those guys. They put him back together again with the hamstring last year, and he managed to come out and play pretty well. I think because there's like 11 games left, right? They're 5-1, so they've got 11 games left. I think he has to average just under 80 yards a game to reach 1,000 yards, which I think is doable for him.
Oh, that's very doable for him, especially the way Baker Mayfield's playing too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And and he's going to have to carry the load a little bit, and maybe a little harder because they can double team him more now. But as Godwin comes back, and Ibuka and McMillan, hopefully, and that'll open things up too as the season gets later.
Right, and I don't think we'll see Chris Godwin before the bye week. I mean, they could have put him on IR, but there is a bye week coming up, so it's 4 games, not 4 weeks, and that way you can get him back afterwards. But my sense is that this is not a short-term type injury. It's probably going to be about 4 weeks or so before we see him again. But if he were to get back, I think probably a little sooner than that, you would probably see Emeka Ibuka with a hamstring injury, not as serious as Mike's, obviously. Maybe he misses one more week after this one. We'll see after that. But yeah, as they get healthier, and if Baker can stay as hot as he has been, which is hard to fathom right now, but if he can, they're going to continue to put up lots of points. I mean, Josh Grizzard has done a good job. He knows what he has. And this Detroit Lions defense is really hurting in the secondary. Not to mention they got a player suspended. So, but this is going to be, look, anytime you play the Lions, especially at Ford Field, that is one of the, if not one of the loudest stadiums, I think, in the NFL when it's rocking. And right now the Lions are playing well, so it's rocking. It's a great atmosphere to play in, even if you're an opponent, because you really feel the energy from that. But it's hard to communicate. There's a lot of stuff that goes with that home field advantage for Detroit up there. You're going to have to handle those situations, and they have so far this year. They haven't had a lot of pre-snap penalties and stuff like that. But they went up there and won last year. This is a place that they know they can win, and they know how good the Lions are. And if they beat the Lions, I would say, to me, that would really signify that they're the best team in the NFC. I'm not sure they are right now, by the way. I've seen them ranked there by many people. I understand why, if you're 5-1, your only losses to the Eagles, and you had a chance to win that game even after getting way behind. I can see why people have them one in the power rankings in the NFC. But in reality, because of the injuries and everything, I don't know that they are. If they beat Detroit, then I think you can legitimately make that claim. You can say, okay, they're starting to get healthy. They got Mike Evans back. They went on the road. They beat Detroit. They played San Francisco at home and beat them. Went on the road, beat Seattle. Like, now you can say, all right, if they're 6-1 heading into New Orleans, soon to be 7-1, you would anticipate they're the best team in the NFC. But until I see them do it, I think most people, if Detroit wins, will say, well, it's the Lions. And I think they would have earned that, even though they lost, a week ago at Kansas City. And there were some squirrely calls, and, that game was much closer than it appeared. But it'll be fun. It's fun up there. I'll tell you, you can't go into that yard, into Ford Field, with all the energy that's in there, and not, if you love football, it doesn't matter who you're rooting for, but if you love football, what a great atmosphere. It's almost like a college atmosphere up there.
That's awesome. And that's, we both love
Michigan
college football. Well, we both love college football. I love the atmosphere of college football.
Oh, it's the best.
The pro atmosphere is different. It's great,
totally.
And it's, but it's a different environment, different vibe, different everything.
There's not the pageantry. There's not the,
Mm-hmm. But
the
if the
kids.
Lions fans feel like a college game, that's awesome, I think.
It does. It really does. I mean, I've been to the big house. It's not quite that, obviously, but
Mhm.
but they're passionate, and it's a dome, so it's extremely loud. I don't like where we sit. It's like we're 8 floors up. We're like at the very top of the roof. It's ridiculous how high we are. They should put the numbers on top of that, almost like NASCAR or something. But it's a fun place to watch a game, to be part of that atmosphere. Like, it's hype. It's really hyped, and they love their football. And look, and they love their football in Michigan. It's just the Lions haven't been good for so long, and now they are, right.
Mhm.
And that window is right there. I mean, it's right there with Jared Goff and those guys. And if in this wide open NFC, and I think it is wide open, if you can get a good playoff seed and win a game or two, you definitely could find yourself in the Super Bowl this year. I don't think there's any question. I think the Bucs could do that as well. So they're putting it together, and Monday Night Football, the early game, 7 o'clock. It'll be Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. Like that. That's kind of that's what you play the game for. You play the game to have these big moments and these marquee matchups and all of that. And so they're fun to cover, and I'm looking forward to going up there as well. And we'll see. We'll see whether And then the bad news is that there won't be a Mecca Ibuka this week. You won't see Bucky Irving this week. So there's still a bunch of guys that need to get healthy. No Luke Gedeke. So if you can survive this, and I think the matchup is going to be much like it was up there a year ago. And if you remember, Luke Gedeke was out then too, and so they had to use Justin Scully to play tackle, and Aiden Hutchinson ate his lunch. I mean, he had 3 sacks in the first quarter, ended up with 4.5, should have been 5. And that's the same thing they face this week, is that you're going to have to give some help over there to Heck. You're going to have to keep a tight end in. Otten might not be as involved in the passing game. Gives you one less eligible receiver, but you can't let the guy just wreck the game. He could knock your quarterback out for the season. So he's a hell of a pass rusher. I think he had a sack or two the other night against Kansas City. He's playing really, really well. He's flying around. So they got to find a way to stop that first, because I've seen him in Detroit just a year ago just take that game over. Like, very few players can do that from that position, but he did it. And from what I can tell, that broken leg or whatever he had to recover from, it has not affected him this year. So should be a fun game. Looking forward to it. Two good teams, two coaches that know each other very well. Dan Campbell had been with Todd Bowles in a couple places, including Miami, and they have a lot of respect for each other. When you play the Detroit Lions, you got to be prepared. Almost every team nowadays, but especially Detroit, you have to be prepared on defense to play 4 downs, 4 downs, 4 downs, 4 downs, because I mean the kick return is going to take you out past the 30, and if you get another 10 or 15 yards, hell, the way guys are kicking, you're almost in field goal range. So they're gonna go for it on 4th down, and Dan Campbell usually goes into the game telling his team that's what they're doing. So you have to be anticipating that, if it's 4th and 2 or less, he's going to go. They don't have the tush push, but they're pretty aggressive that way, and that can wear down your defense. And so that it's going to be that kind of game where everybody is pushing really hard to try to get it. I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to going, man. It's the last 2 years. They lost the playoff game up there 2 years ago, and they had a chance right until the end of the game when Baker Mayfield threw an interception, and then last year to pull off that win was incredible. Just incredible. And what I remember is Servassier Dennis playing really, really well, especially in the red zone. And credit to Servassier Dennis, like, he's just coming off his best game. Like, he did a really good job on Christian McCaffrey, those guys in the middle there. And I talked to Bowles about it, and he goes, he's just starting to settle down. And one of the things that they put on him, and I'm not sure why he does this, but he's done it before, even with young middle linebackers, is instead of giving Levante the green dot where he can communicate and get guys lined up, he gives it to Voss. And so Voss, he says, he's got a lot to be responsible for and a lot of communication and stuff. So he said, that was kind of getting him a little bit, and now he's handling that and he's settling down. But they put that kind of responsibility on him and not Levante, which is interesting to me.
It is, but it's probably twofold.
Mm-hmm.
it's preparing Servassier Dennis for the future because you don't know how long Levante's here.
That's
this
right.
could be his last season.
Mm-hmm.
But secondly, it gives the coaches a chance to even talk in his ear if something goes wrong or bad, right? Like,
yeah, that's true too. I didn't think about that.
As soon as a play's done, something happened, they can give him real-time feedback in his headset before even calling the play.
Mm-hmm.
As a young guy in that, I kind of think of it like, Taylor Walls has the pitch comm device when he's playing shortstop and knows what pitch is coming. And so he knows where to head and stuff. It gives Servassier, a couple extra seconds of knowing what the play call is to think about it. Right. Yeah, there is the part of having to communicate to the rest of the team, but
you can read it faster, maybe. Yeah.
But that real-time feedback and being able to talk directly in his ear as a young player, can be beneficial if the player can handle it.
Yeah, it's a good point. It could be a real tool for him to kind of boost his knowledge a little bit, pre-snap anyway. At some point, those cut off, but it is an extra layer of responsibility for him.
Mm-hmm.
But Levante knows where he's going, and you don't have to. Yep. You don't need much instruction, so you're really just talking about the back end and the guys in front of you.
Yep.
So, yeah, it should be fun. By the way, how about your Cincinnati Bengals? So while we're doing this podcast, full disclosure, the Bengals are on top of the Pittsburgh Steelers, 20-10. And
don't worry, their defense is bad enough to blow this. Don't worry.
you have no faith, you Bengal fan, you.
Have you seen their? Although they have a few turnovers tonight. Amazing.
Well, they do. Yeah.
Speaking of that, by the way, did you see that the officials finally called a false start on a tush push, but it wasn't on the Eagles. It was on the Steelers.
Yeah, right. Go figure.
I mean, the Eagles, every time the guards fire off early, they never call it, but they did on the Steelers tonight. So,
yeah, the Eagles are just better at it, better at cheating. So, Mike Tomlin, and rightfully so, now I understand why he was so upset that the Cleveland Browns traded Joe Flacco to the Bengals. Because you know what? He watches tape too. Mm-hmm. And what he found out was this Flacco guy, he might be old, but man, he's got every answer to the test. And right now he's got kind of a nicked up hand.
And is there another quarterback that's played more against the Steelers in Mike Tomlin's team than Joe Flacco?
No, and beaten them, right? I mean, with the Ravens.
Yeah, I think his record's 11-13 in his career, but I mean, he's played enough in big games and knows, he knows what to expect. So,
you know what? It just reaffirmed to me how we're so used to seeing the younger quarterbacks pick up first downs with their feet, and that's great, right? Like it's great to get a first down or two because things break down, you can run and this sort of thing. But it just reaffirmed to me that like quarterbacking really in this league is done from the pocket. Like, the best guys, get the ball out to Jamar Chase, get it out to T. Higgins, get it out. And all of a sudden, that terrible offensive line, and they're not good, suddenly they look very functional. Suddenly they look very capable, because you're throwing slants to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and fades. And, those guys are just unbelievable. And Joe gets the ball out. It's out in 2 seconds. He's not hanging on to it. So the athleticism that he lacks, he's making up for it by anticipation. And to me, these two guys are kind of the throwbacks. Although I will say this about Rodgers for his age at 41, he could still move. Like he's got good feet, he's got escapability. He's not like Dan Marino in his final year, or you could put him in a chair back there. He'd still beat you with that arm, but you could, he had no mobility at all. I think Aaron's moving pretty well, given the Achilles tear and all that stuff.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, he is more mobile than you give him credit for. I mean, he's not Baker going to run through people. He's not.
No.
Lamar,
but he can
Josh
protect
Allen,
himself really well.
Mm-hmm. But he can, go get a couple yards if you need it.
Yeah.
If everything breaks down.
Right. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Steelers' offense. It seems like disjointed to me still, but maybe that's because Arthur Smith is the offensive coordinator, who I didn't really like in Atlanta as a head coach. But still a game, 20-10, long way to go as we do this podcast. We'll give you updates so you already know the score when the day comes. But and then we got college football to talk about this weekend. Tell you what, let's do some of that and also get into a couple of mailbag questions here in just a second. But have you been down to International Plaza Mall? Of course you have. It's the best mall in Tampa Bay. Well, what I want you to do is go down there and go upstairs, second floor, center of the mall. That's where you're going to find the Breitling Boutique. Breitling Their company has been making the best Swiss watches now for over 140 years. They've been in International Plaza Mall for going on 6 years almost at this point. And you'll want to go now because that's where you want to find the men's watches, the Navitimers, the Chronomats that they're known for. They also have ladies' watches for your wife, your girlfriend. These are sports watches. They look terrific, and she can pick from just an array of different colored wristbands. And while supplies last, and that's the key phrase here, Breitling Boutique has done this thing celebrating the NFL's 104th year anniversary with 32 different team watches. These are the Chronomat watches specifically designed to represent the team that you love. And so, they have the face of the watch and the team colors. They have the logo on them. I was by there not too long ago, saw in the window they still had a Buccaneers team watch. I saw a Jaguars team watch. Man, you have to go by and check it out. Spend some time in that building. You're going to love the customer service. It's Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. And when you go, please let them know that you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. So just looking around at college football, there was some talk about maybe Florida making a change with their head coach, but now it seems like it wasn't that extensive, and they're playing at Mississippi State.
No, it's in Gainesville.
It's in Gainesville, even more
Yep.
so. I expect them to take care of Mississippi State. That's a game they can win. So maybe you don't make a change after this week.
Well, if you lose this game, maybe the change happens.
Maybe then it's automatic, yeah.
But
the reports are that there was conversations between the AD and some prominent boosters to talk about the buyout and what they could get together and that sort of thing.
You never know what to believe in those cases.
That's true.
Is it one booster trying to just cause a story? Is it, who knows?
Sure. No, more than likely some Gator fans or Gator boosters have leaked that. I'm not sure who the report was, The Athletic maybe or something, but and look, let's be honest, like, you got to win at Florida. You have to win. And they've not done a consistent job doing that. And they've got a lot of difficult games. I mean, that conference is so deep and so hard. I would predict that, there's not going to be enough wins to keep the coach's job. And speaking of guys that are going to say they're happy and they're not looking for jobs, I don't care what you hear from Lane Kiffin, and Spurrier has said it and others, that's the guy that Florida needs to hire. Hell, he wears a visor because he's a big Spurrier fan. Like, you want good ball plays. You want guys that can develop and get better as a program goes along, a guy that can certainly recruit. Look what he's done in Oxford. You have to go get Lane Kiffin, I think, if you're the University of Florida. That makes too much sense for me.
You're not going to get Alex Golish?
I'm not sure.
No, I think Lane is their choice. If they make a change, I think that's who they'll go with, or try to get.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
I wonder if Penn State makes a run at Lane.
That would make sense a little bit.
Yeah,
that would make sense to me. I mean, if you made a list of college coaches that have an upside, Lane's going to be pretty high up on it.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of coaches on the hot seat, Florida State's at Stanford, and I got news for you, man. I don't know that there's going to be a lot of leniency right now for Mike Norvell in Tallahassee.
Well, you ready for that 10:30 kickoff?
Oh, God.
That's
the ACC, man. Coast to coast, right?
Well, the Big Ten is too. I mean, you've got Oregon,
true.
Washington, UCLA, and USC. I mean,
that's true.
Playing, 10:30, 11 o'clock Eastern starts.
That's true. I know.
But yeah, it's a 10:30 start here in Tampa Bay.
Brutal. Just brutal. And USF,
Stanford's not very good. Florida State should win that game.
They should win that game, but my gosh, the way things are going right now, is any win easy for them? I mean, it just feels that way, like everything's a struggle, and that's after so many expectations. You come out and you beat Alabama in week 1, and look like you've got things figured out, and then disappointing losses pile up on them a little bit. It's not gone the way they really wanted it to at this point.
Yep.
USF, as you mentioned, they're going to play FAU. I think they'll take care of business there.
It's homecoming.
Homecoming, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the countdown for Alex Golish is on, because he'll be going somewhere after this year.
Well, we got a mailbag question on that. So Matt had
Well, let's
tweeted.
jump in it. Yeah.
Says, as a USF fan, if they win the American or have a 10-win season, should I be concerned that Alex Golesh might change his address to Gainesville or Tallahassee before next year?
Well, I mean, anything's possible. I don't necessarily. I mean, he did beat the Gators, so they probably shouldn't be averse to trying to, if you can't beat them, join them type thing. He certainly look. I think he'll have many opportunities. When I say many, Power 5 conference schools. Where exactly? There's a daisy chain effect. If like say Lane Kiffin leaves Ole Miss, now the Ole Miss job is open. Like I don't know exactly how far up the food chain Alex Golesh will go. But I think it's going to be pretty far if what I think is going to happen with USF. I think they're going to win out. I think Memphis is probably the next team that could get them in the AAC or the American Conference, I guess I call it now. But if they don't, they're going to be that team that's the non-Power 5 in the college football playoffs. And that alone makes your resume, and plus just what he's done, turn that franchise around. I know he says, I'm not campaigning for jobs or whatever it was. You don't have to. He knows they're going to find him.
Yep.
And Rob Higgins will do everything he can to keep him. I'm sure he likes what he's built here, but let's be honest. You don't start to coach college football, trying to make USF into a national power. This is not, Kirk Cignetti at Indiana. That's a Big Ten school no matter what, even though it's a basketball school. He wasn't hired till he was in his 60s, and I think he's bitter at every school that wants him now because they turned him down before.
I don't know. Lately, it's a football school, not a basketball school.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. That's true. What the hell happened there? But yeah, so I know like he said all the right things, and maybe he said it too often and too long, 4 or 5 minute speeches, but no one's going to fault him, and it would be criminal if there wasn't a team out there from a major conference that wasn't looking at Alex Golesh. If he does this with USF this year and he does make it to the college football playoffs, come on. And not for nothing, but if you're a Bulls fan, the thing I'd be worried about is going to take the quarterback with him somewhere.
Well, and here's the thing, and Matt asked if he should be concerned. Yes, you should, but I'd rather have 10 wins or win the American, go to the college football playoff, and lose my coach Then go 7-6 again to win a bowl game.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely.
Like go find the next coach that's going to take you even higher. I mean, that's, we were just talking before him, but Cignetti gets a big contract extension at Indiana. So when Luke Fickell left Cincinnati to go to Wisconsin, Cignetti was one of the 2 finalists for the job. And they hired Scott Satterfield from Louisville because he had Power 5 experience. Because Cincinnati was moving into the Big 12. They did not hire Cignetti. Missed. And Satterfield's doing a good job this year, but missed.
That's a miss. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, you want your coach to be in demand because it means you've won 10 games or you're on the rise, which means what? You know how many coaches are going to want to coach at USF? Good coaches? Guys that are ascending to Power 5 schools themselves, they're going to want to finish what take over what Golesh has started.
Absolutely. A lot better than taking over a team that won 4 wins over 3 years and only won against FBS schools.
Right. This guy had the hard job, right?
Yeah.
He had to dig them out of the ditch. He's got them back on top. You just got to keep it rolling, And you've got players and you've got foundation and all those things, and you got a stadium that's being built, and the job is just going to get more and more attractive, I think, as we go along. But if you're asking me, do I think Golesh, if he accomplishes this, is going to be here next year? The answer is no. Hell no. I mean,
he shouldn't be. And thank you for doing what you did for the program.
Thank you much. Yeah, give him a nice send off and a parade, and pat him on the back, and wish him well at whatever next SEC or Big Ten school or ACC school he's going to, because he's earned it. He's earned that. I mean, just think of the 3 or 4 years before he got here.
Yep.
And how dark and ugly that was. So he's got you in a good position. You got the stadium going up. You got so much momentum now as a program, and let Rob Higgins go. Do what Rob Higgins needs to do and hire his first great football coach.
Well, and the other part is if he gets you to the playoff or gets you pretty far there, like there's another round of realignment coming in college football.
That's right.
How quick, we don't know. How extensive it's going to be, we don't know yet. No one really does.
That's right.
But there's going to be more. Having that 10-win season or having, winning the American, going to the college, that only helps you to get to a bigger conference, to get out of the non-power conferences to get into a power conference,
which is the only goal
ultimately
they
what you
have.
want.
Yeah.
And so if Alex Golesh helped you do that and he goes on somewhere, thank you. Great job. We'll cheer for you unless we play you, forever because you've been fantastic. But, good on you. Go do bigger things, and we're going to keep trying to do better things.
What's going to be great about Monday night is that I get to sit home and watch college football and then a whole day of the NFL, which is something I rarely get to do because it is a Monday night game. I'm not flying up till Monday morning, so that'll be a lot of fun.
But then on Monday night we got to stay up really late, and you got to catch an early flight back. And
yeah, I know. Don't tell me that.
It's the good and the bad, yin and the yang.
It's a 22-hour day, but hey, I'm up for it. Right? What else? Where would you rather be than Detroit at 1 a.m.? Going back to Romulus by the airport. Those that know Detroit will know that name. So yeah, it is what it is. But the weekend, I'll try to approach it as if I'm kind of off. Hey, we got a couple of mailbag questions to wrap the week up on. Let's go.
All right, John had tweeted. He says, at this point, it appears Chris Godwin needs a significant amount of time to fully recover to return to form. Wouldn't it be better for him and the Bucs to shut him down for the rest of the season? I'd rather have him for 2 good future years than risk stringing his recovery along.
Well, I mean, only if the doctors say that that's what's required. I mean, I think, they're not going to rush him back. You could argue that maybe he rushed into the lineup, and at least when he did get to play, they played him too many snaps. I mean, I don't know how you go from doing nothing to practicing every other day. I don't even think before he played, he practiced 2 days in a row. But when he went out there, he was playing 50, 55 snaps a game, and that's a pretty heavy workload. So for whatever reason, he's got a new injury to that fibula. I think, what I was told is, well, you notice we didn't put him on IR. And if you put him on IR, he's got to be out for a minimum of 4 weeks. Well, one of the reasons why they didn't put him on IR, I think, is because they'll have a bye week before that. So he'll probably miss, the 3 games, bye a week, and then come back after that if everything goes according to plan. Look, football players are here to play. I mean, they're not paying this guy $20 million, to see you next year, right? If you're out for the year, you're out for the year. These guys deal with injuries all the time, particularly when you're coming off something like he is. He's been down this road before with the 3 knee ligaments. Had a setback after he started playing. It was a hamstring after that. Like, he didn't really get going very well until the end of the season. But no, you're not going to IR the guy and say, hey, you know what? I think it'll be better if we grab you next year, because who the hell knows what next year is, right? I mean, you're 5-1 football team right now. What if you get to 6-1 or 7-1 and you get more injury? We've seen what's happened at the receiver position. They seem to have an injury every week. Now Mecca's out. We got Mike coming back. Who knows if he's able to sustain the rest of the season? You're going to need him. You're going to probably need him before the year is over. And so for that reason, it's his job. I know it sounds harsh, and yeah, would he benefit from not doing anything physically? Probably. But that's not the job. That's not what they're paying him. If you can go, you go. They're not going to put him in harm's way necessarily. But he also has to get, the other part of it is he needs to play football. He needs to get hit. He needs to get back up. He needs to be sore and come through these injuries. And this one might be a little more serious than most, but he needs to, find ways to push through the pain and the hurt and all those things that the NFL brings you. Because he sat out for 11 months and did nothing in terms of football. So they're never going to just say to a guy, hey, let's just shut him down until next year, unless he has an injury that prevents him from playing this year. And so far, at least, they haven't told us that that's the case.
All right, John had tweeted. He says, one Bucs special teams issue that hasn't gotten attention is kickoff returns. The team is using Sean Tucker, and it's not working out so far. He's currently ranked 47th in return average, which creates field position disadvantages. Are they looking to shake this up soon?
I don't think so. I mean, Tucker is now the number 2 running back. So I'm not sure who you would go to besides that. I mean, you could put, Tez Johnson back there. Cameron Johnson, I think, is one of the guys that is back there. Usually the return game, as much as it's the returner, it's really on the players that are blocking for him. And I haven't thought that they've been very good. Let's be honest. The special teams is the weakest part of this team, with the exception of a place kicker who up until this year was almost, perfect. And I know he's missed a couple of 3 kicks now or 4.
Yeah, but that was the first couple of weeks. Since then, he's been great.
Yeah, since then he's missed 1, I think, and he's still among the tops in the league. And so, the punter, I mean, that was an issue. Riley Dixon has been slow getting the ball off, but then they didn't protect him on the kicks that were blocked. It looks like they got the protection thing ironed out. I just haven't been really impressed with special teams. Like there's not a unit that you would say, well, they got that fixed. It's a little bit of whack-a-mole, to be honest with you, and I'm not sure why, but it doesn't bode well if you're the coach of that team. And the fact of the matter is that Riley Dixon, among active punters, had the most blocked punts in his career entering the season. And, their special teams coach who came from the Giants had a lot of block kicks as well. So is this surprising necessarily? Not if you look at the history of both, but return game, look, special teams players are guys that don't start, right? They're the guys you have on the team that are primarily backups at their position, but they're starters on the special teams. That's who's playing. When you have this many injuries to your receiving core, to your D line, to your O line, and so forth, those guys are now starting. So you can't play them all those special teams reps. You've got to get other guys up from the practice squad or some other place to backfill them for special teams. So not only are you, down a bunch of starters at receiver, but you're also down a bunch of guys that play special teams that are your top gunners and tacklers on that side or blockers. So I think it's just kind of a daisy chain event a little bit when it comes to that. But I don't know that it's Tucker's fault per se. I don't think they've had many good looks in the return game from a blocking standpoint. And, if you put somebody else back there, would it be different? I mean, Cameron Johnson's done it. A lot of them have tried to do it. I actually think a couple times they had some decent returns, but they had some penalties as well. Not sure what the answer is, but you only have a 53-man roster. You can only dress 47. So if you start playing these guys that are your special teamers, then you're pulling up guys from the practice squad, and that's where you get mistakes. That's where you get a missed block and guys get tackled, inside the 30-yard line. So it is what it is, but that's kind of what they're dealing with. It's kind of like the imperfect storm right now. All right, well, again, big college football weekend. We'll preview the Bucs at Detroit on Monday. I'll be there, and hope you guys will be as well. Keep it here on Sports Day Tampa Bay every Monday through Friday. Go see our friends at Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Check out all the watches they have for the men, for the women, and the NFL team watches while supplies last. That's Breitling Boutique International Plaza, and let them know you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. For Steve Versnick, I am Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great weekend, everybody.